Hi everyone, welcome. I hope you're all doing well. It's time for a different topic. So in the next few lessons we're going to be looking at question words in French. Question words are also referred to as interrogatives. Think about the word interrogate. If you interrogate someone, you ask them a lot of different questions using the question word. So if you're taking a French class and you see the grammar term interrogative, it just means question word. Okay, so in this lesson, we are going to look at the interrogative à quelle heure, à quelle heure, à quelle heure. What does à quelle heure mean? À quelle heure means at what time, or simply what time. We often omit the at in English. There really isn't a whole lot to say about à quelle heure in terms of grammar, so let's go ahead and look at some examples. Let's see how it's used in French. Obviously, it's used with time. The time is always in the answer to the question. But let's look at some questions. So if we want to ask the question in French, at what time does the bank open? At what time does the bank open? In English, again, we often omit the at, so the same question can be, what time does the bank open? So either at what time or what time does the bank open? So in French, we're going to go ahead and start with the interrogative, à quelle heure, à quelle heure. If you want to ask this question in French, the word order is different. You literally have to say, at what time opens the bank? So we're going to use the verb ouvrir, which means to open. So the form of ouvrir that we use is ouvre. Ouvre. Its singular form, it's the il, elle, or on form. So we have so far at what time opens, à quelle heure ouvre, and then the only thing missing is the word for bank, which is la banque. So put it all together. À quelle heure ouvre la banque? 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 What time does the bank open? Let's do another example. Let's do the opposite. We'll use the verb to close. So, at what time does the bank close? Or simply, what time does the bank close? So we'll start with our question word, à quelle heure? And we're going to use the verb to close, which is, in French, fermer. Fermer. So the form that we use is ferme. So again, remember, we literally have to say, in terms of word order, at what time closes the bank? À quelle heure ferme? And then we're just missing la banque. So put it all together. À quelle heure ferme la banque? 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 What time does the bank close? Let's try another one. At what time does the train arrive? Or what time does the train arrive? So we start with our interrogative, à quelle heure? À quelle heure? And we're going to use the verb arriver, which means to arrive. So the form that we use is arrive. It's the il, elle, on form. And remember, you literally have to say at what time arrives the train. So we have à quelle heure arrive. And then the only thing we're missing is the train, which is le train. Le train. À quelle heure arrive le train? À quelle heure arrive le train? What time does the train arrive? À quelle heure arrive le train? À quelle heure arrive le train? You might ask someone, excusez-moi, monsieur, à quelle heure arrive le train? Excuse me, what time does the train arrive? Okay. We'll do the opposite here for the next example. At what time does the train leave? At what time does the train leave? Or what time does the train leave? So we start with our interrogative. À quelle heure? À quelle heure? And for the verb leave, we're going to use the verb partir, partir, which means to leave or to depart. And the form that we use is part, part. So literally we have to say at what time leaves the train. So we have at what time leaves, à quelle heure part. And the only thing we're missing is the train, so add it in. And we have the question, the very nice question, à quelle heure part le train? À quelle heure part le train? So you might ask someone, excusez-moi madame, à quelle heure part le train? At what time does the train leave, or what time does the train leave? Okay, so let's just look at a few more examples to finish up here, a few more questions. So we'll start with this first one, à quelle heure? At what time? À quelle heure venez-vous? À quelle heure venez-vous? What does this mean? Well, it means, what time are you coming? Notice it's the vous and the verb venir, to come. À quelle heure venez-vous? What time are you coming? Let's try another one. À quelle heure? À quelle heure? Est-ce que? So for this question, we're going to use the est-ce que format for asking a question. Remember, there are other ways besides est-ce que. You can use the intonation, rising intonation. You can use the inversion. For this one, we're just using est-ce que. So the next part is, à quelle heure est-ce que tu te lèves? À quelle heure est-ce que tu te lèves? So, tu te lèves. This is the verb se lever. It's a what we call a reflexive verb, and we haven't had those yet, so they're coming up soon. We'll have reflexive verbs, a lesson on reflexive verbs. So the question here, at what time, literally, do you raise yourself? But you can't get stuck on the literal translation. To raise yourself in French, it really means to get up, as we say in English. So here's the question. At what time do you get up? À quelle heure est-ce que tu te lèves? À quelle heure est-ce que tu te lèves? Next question. À quelle heure vient-il? À quelle heure vient-il? So, what time is he coming? À quelle heure vient-il? And then one final question. À quelle heure? À quelle heure passe? So, passer, this is the verb passer, to pass or to go by. What? Le bus. À quelle heure passe le bus? À quelle heure passe le bus? So if you're at a bus stop and you see someone standing there, you might ask, excusez-moi, savez-vous à quelle heure passe le bus? Well, do you know what time the bus comes by? À quelle heure passe le bus? Okay, one final thing for this lesson, a little bonus here. Students often ask the question, in the interrogative à quelle heure, we use the feminine singular form. There's the masculine singular quelle, the masculine plural quelle with the s, quelle, the feminine singular, and quelle with the es. I'm sorry, with the s. So why are we using this form here? And the answer simply is that the question is agreeing with the gender of the word hour, l'heure. You can't tell from the definite article. The L apostrophe doesn't tell you whether or not the word is masculine or feminine, but the indefinite article, une, definitely tells you, okay, this is a feminine singular word. So when you ask the question, à quelle heure, quelle is modifying the word heure, so it has to agree with it. So that's why we use that form. And there you have it. That's it for this lesson. Thanks so much for watching. If you found this helpful, I would appreciate it very much if you'd give it a like. To continue learning and go on to the next lesson, click on the video that appears here on your screen. See you soon. À bientôt.